Okay, so let's begin by getting comfortable in our meditation posture, then generating positive motivation. So just like usual, spend a minute or two focusing on an object of placement meditation to generate some mental focus. And then if you like, visualize yourself surrounded by all sentient beings, as we've done before. And then visualize Shakyamuni Buddha as one essence with your own teacher in front with the field of refuge. And then generate a positive motivation for this session, especially related to your aspiration to benefit oneself, benefit all sentient beings, and how that relates to correctly relying upon a spiritual teacher or guru or lama. Okay, I need screen sharing. So then we'll recite this praise to Shakyamuni Buddha by Nagarjuna, and then the four immeasurable thoughts, and then refuge and bodhicitta prayer. Compelled by great compassion, taught the sacred Dharma to dispel all wrong views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to abide in equanimity, free of attachment to friends and anger towards enemies. May they abide in equanimity. I myself will cause them to abide in equanimity. Please grant me blessings to be able to do this. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they have happiness and its causes. I myself will cause them to have these. Please grant me blessings to be able to do this. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they be free from suffering and its causes. I myself will cause them to be free from these. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do this. And then how wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to never be separated from the happiness which is totally beyond suffering. May they never be separated from this. I myself will cause them never to be separated from this. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do this. So briefly generate the four immeasurable attitudes: immeasurable equanimity, immeasurable love, compassion, and joy. And then we can recite the refuge and bodhicitta prayer. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my two collections from listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my two collections from explaining the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I go for refuge, or I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my two collections of lists from explaining the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. So imagine from the Buddha's holy body, white light rays radiate out in all directions, purifying you and all sentient beings, and then golden light rays radiate out, blessing you and all sentient beings to develop, especially realizations of all the aspects of correctly relying upon a spiritual teacher or guru. And then you can imagine the Buddha in the space before you shrinks very small in size and it comes to abide above the crown of your head and guide you during the meditations. So then we'll just go through the outlines. I'll just share the outlines in this form. Actually, I think I have to blow it up first. Not in PowerPoint form, but just in the Word file. So we can see more on one page. So the introduction, we can skip. So first we'll meditate on the first outline heading, which is qualities of a teacher. So there's the quotation. Yeah, we'll just meditate on the outline headings in order. Then you can, of course, supplement from your own memory and with your own doubts and questions you can think about. And then whatever you remember from the readings and the lectures for this course, for this module. So first we'll meditate on the qualities of the teacher. Yeah, so there's this quotation from the Ornament of Mahayana Sutras, where it lists 10 qualities of teacher, and then there's 2 additional ones discussed by Lama Zopa Rinpoche and others in the readings. And then maybe at the end, what we also think about the qualities of the student. But the main thing is think about. Well, actually, why don't we start with in the introduction, the first session, we talked about just the need for a teacher. Yeah, kind of what is a teacher? What's the need for a teacher? What are the dangers of entering into a relationship? Maybe that one don't have to meditate on. And then how to find one's teachers. Yeah, those last 2 maybe not so important. Maybe it's good just to spend a few minutes first thinking about, basically kind of what is a spiritual teacher. in one's own kind of way of thinking, and what's the need. Why does one need a teacher or not? So why don't we think about that for a few minutes first, and then I'll mention after, and then I'll prompt you to go on to think about the qualities of a teacher. So what's the need for a spiritual teacher? So then, if you like, then shift to going on to think about the qualities of a teacher. So having thought about generally what a teacher is and the need for a teacher for oneself, and think about the qualities of the teacher based on this verse, a couple verses from the Ornament of the Mahayana Sutras. And then the list of 10 qualities as are enumerated in that sutra. And then any other additional qualities you feel like, so try to personalize your reflection, that any other qualities you feel like you need in a teacher or are most valuable to you in the teachers that you have. So think about the qualities of the spiritual teacher. And then in the last few minutes before we take a break, maybe spend some time thinking about the qualities of the student. So oneself as a student, what are important qualities to have to be a qualified student, and uh, to what degree does oneself have or not have those qualities? So let's reflect on that for a few minutes. Yeah. So you can relax your attention and we'll take a 5-minute break. Sorry, I took a little longer than planned. Okay, let's resume. Um, well, okay. So the second, well, after the other qualities of the teacher, qualities of the student, then the main kind of topic in the correctly relying upon a teacher. So once you rely upon someone as your teacher, yeah. So remember, what determines whether someone is your teacher or not is not merely whether you've heard them explain Dharma, but rather it's if in your mind you generate the discrimination that this is my teacher. So it's a personal decision, or you take vows or initiations from that person, then they automatically become your teacher. Um, yeah, because, well, as part of taking vows, you have to discriminate them as your abbot or your preceptor. And then taking initiation, you also have to discriminate them, think of them as your teacher in order to receive the initiation. So, but then once you rely upon someone as your teacher, then there's ways to relate to them, as you being the student, them being their teacher. And so those are divided up into relying on in thought and relying in action. So the main one is relying in thought. So then here we'll look at some outlines. So relying on thought. So there's how many? The root, training yourself to have faith. So within relying in thought, there's training yourself to have faith in the teacher by thinking about their uh, qualities, and thinking about how they are a Buddha, um, or one with the Buddhas. And then there's relying, and then training to have respect by remembering their kindness. So those two. So first, we'll just look at the first, um, generating faith. So I'm not sure how to do this because the outlines go way over one page. So I'll scroll a little bit during the meditation, um, or you might have the outlines on your own at home somewhere, or they might be in your mind. Um, so yeah, but within this, there's these two very important quotations. This one here by Gyal and Sapa. Maybe I'll highlight it. These are ones that Lama Zopa Rinpoche says to put in your diary book or your prayer book and meditate on every day. This one and then this one by Geshe Tolongpa. Those are especially these two quotations. So these two quotations in essence are saying that whether we develop realizations or not depends upon how well we're able to relate to the Guru in thought, which primarily means only seeing positive qualities in the Guru and not seeing faults. So generating that faith that they are a Buddha and thereby they only have positive qualities, and whatever faults appear to me are either the result of one's own negative karma and karmic obscurations. Then because one has karmic obscurations, the Guru has to show that faulty appearance, or the Guru shows faulty appearance because it benefits some specific sentient beings in some way. Right? Um, yeah, yeah. Okay. So reflecting on, yeah. how to, well, you see, how someone becomes your guru, one's own guru, by one's generating that discrimination, and then how to rely in thought within that, how to generate faith, and that the essence of that practice is seeing the guru as a Buddha. And then first of all, it's like the importance of doing that. Gyawan Sapa says, in short, whether we achieve great or small realizations depends upon whether we have meditated with great or small devotion. Therefore, may I keep as my heart practice the instruction to reflect only upon the qualities of the Guru, source of all realizations, and not look at faults. So take a few minutes like that, and then I'll scroll down a bit and prompt you to reflect on the next topic. So now I suggest you move on to, well, this second pair of quotes, the heading is "The Reason You Must Regard the Guru as a Buddha." So this is like one of the most kind of mystical, difficult to fathom kind of aspects of the Lamrim in general, and especially of Guru devotion. So from the Book of Spells here, it says, the Guru's blessings are not really great or small. It all depends on you. And then Geshe Tolongpa says, if we have faith that the Guru is the embodiment of all the Buddhas of 3 times, the holy body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas, abide in that teacher, and we, the disciples, receive the blessings of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. Yeah, so thinking about how this, seeing the Guru as a Buddha, so this kind of perfect being, having eliminated all faults and perfected all positive qualities, how our practice of seeing them in that way, how it benefits our minds and becomes a supportive condition for oneself to generate realizations. So spend a few minutes thinking about that. Maybe just for the last few minutes before we, for the last 5 minutes or so before we take another break. Um, so the next heading, the reason you're able to see the Guru in this way. So there's this quotation from the Vajrapani Initiation Tantra. It says, seize on your master's qualities, never seize on their faults. You will gain siddhis when you seize on their qualities. You will not gain siddhis when you seize on their faults. So that's kind of saying the same thing as before, but in addition, it helps to think how, the way we see a person is largely due to our habituation, the way we habituate our minds. So it helps to think about like a passage from Shantideva's text where it says, basically, whatever we familiarize our mind with, then it becomes easier and easier to see things in that way. So so we can reflect here how it's possible to see the Guru as a Buddha by the force of our intention and our repeated habituation to that. And then in addition, the two reasonings I mentioned earlier, how when faults arise, it's either the result of our own and others' obscurations of karma, or it's for a specific purpose. And then finally, before we break, let's reflect just briefly on this quotation. So this is under this heading, how to regard the Guru properly. Then there's 4 subheadings. The first is Vajradhara stated. So Vajradhara is the tantric form of Shakyamuni Buddha. So the form Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in when he taught all the tantras. So how Vajradhara stated that the Guru is a Buddha. So from this Hey Vajra's Royal Tantra, it says, the Buddha said, in the future times, my physical form will be that of masters. Also in the last 5 centuries, in the last 500 years before the Dharma disappears in this world, I will take the form of masters, think that they are me, and develop respect for them. In future degenerate times, my form shall be that of churls, and through various means I will show my forms. So think about how the Buddha himself predicted that in the future he would appear in all different various forms, some virtuous, some kind of not having, as butchers and criminals and things, will appear in all different forms to benefit beings. Okay, so you can relax your attention there. And we'll take another break. So this time a 10-minute break, 10 minutes. Okay, so now we'll meditate on these. So, sorry. So these next three, so this heading, how to regard the guru properly. There's four subheadings here. The first, and these are kind of it's kind of like the most important four topics for reflection in this topic in guru devotion. So the first of these four subheadings is the Vajradhara stated that the guru is the Buddha. So that's scriptural quotation. And then there's these other three. So we reflected on that one already. And there's these three. Proof that the guru is the agent of all the Buddha's good works. So this is kind of a reason. Um, yeah, basically that goes something like, because the Buddhas are acting now to benefit beings, and they do not need to rely upon ordinary people to benefit beings. Um, and it also kind of goes like, well, together with, and what would the Buddhas were existing now benefiting beings, what would they be doing? Of course, they'd be teaching the Dharma. So therefore it goes independence upon that the people who are teaching me Dharma are Buddhas, or that activity of theirs of teaching me the Dharma, leading me in uh, Dharma practice, is the activity of the Buddhas. So that's that proof that the Guru is the agent of all the Buddha's good works. And then this third heading, this is the one I find most probably compelling, is that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still, they're like alive now, they exist now, and they're working for the benefit or working for the sake of sentient beings now. So their so remember, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, their main purpose for either entering the path or becoming enlightened is to benefit others. It's the sole purpose. Um, and the continuum of past Buddhas and Bodhisattvas exists now. So then, of course, now they still exist and they're benefiting beings. So how would they do that? Then they're teaching Dharma, leading you and others on the path. So that's the second of those four headings. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still working for the sake of other beings. And then the fourth is just that we cannot be sure of our own appearances. Just because someone appears as an ordinary person to us, it doesn't mean they actually are. And then we can find other examples from our own personal experience where we think something is one way, or it appears to be us in one way, and then later we find out it's totally not. So there's many ways in which we have false or misleading kind of perceptions and appearance. So let's spend about 10 minutes reflecting on those 3 points and divide up the time however you like. So we'll start now. Mm. And then in the next 10 minutes, let's reflect on the next topic, which is developing respect by remembering their kindness. So developing respect for one's teachers and a sense of gratitude and kind of closeness with them by remembering how they've been kind to one in different ways. So there's this list of 6 ways they've been kind to oneself here. So maybe I'll just let you read that on your own, and then reflect on those 6 points. And then after about 5 minutes, I'll scroll down the page, and there's these very powerful moving words from the Laying Out of Stalks Sutra, describing, using different analogies to describe the kindness of one's guru. So we can also read those verses and reflect in that way. So yes, of course, if you have a teacher, someone you've taken as a teacher, you reflect on their kindness. If you haven't taken someone as a teacher yet, then you can just reflect on the kindness of, um, whatever is the source of your inspiration in spiritual practice. Yeah. So then if you like, you can also meditate on the kindness of one's group by reflecting on these verses, um, illustrating different analogies, using different analogies to think of the kindness of the group from the laying out of stalks sutra. So bring your meditation to a conclusion. Sort of summarizing your sense of the kindness of the Guru. Okay, so kind of relax your attention there. And so we'll dedicate briefly. So think of all the merit we've created in this session of meditation and in this whole module, in the other 3 sessions of this module. And rejoice in your own efforts and the efforts of all the others in the group. And then rejoice in all the merits created by ordinary sentient beings like ourselves, and then also Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, beings with higher levels of realization. So all this merit gathered together, then we dedicate for that the Buddha Dharma in general flourish in the world, and all spiritual teachings which bring peace and happiness to the minds of beings, to the lives of beings. And then especially may His Holiness Dalai Lama and our other teachers have long and stable lives. May Lama Zopa Rinpoche show the aspect of quickly reincarnating and continuing to carry on his enlightened activities of his previous incarnation. And may the FEMT organization have all the conditions to flourish, especially the Ocean of Compassion Center. May it have all necessary conditions, volunteers, students, benefactors, and so forth, to be able to continue offering programs like this far into the future. Then especially Venerable Palmo, who's passed away or stopped breathing recently, is still in meditation. Then may her mind be at peace, and may she, within the clear light mind of death, may she be able to realize emptiness and bodhicitta and all of the realizations on the path, and be guided by her teachers without any hindrance whatsoever, and be able to quickly take rebirth in a pure land or in a precious human rebirth, with whichever circumstances are most beneficial for her to continue on the practice of the path towards enlightenment, as well as for all other sentient beings who passed away recently or passing through the bardo. May they similarly take rebirth in a pure land or precious human rebirth and meet the best possible conditions. And then I'd like to read this prayer from these verses from Bodhisattva's Way of Life by Shantideva. So I'll read down the left column first and then the right column. May the blind see forms, may the deaf hear sounds, may the naked find clothing, the hungry find food, may the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments, and may every disease in the world never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting one another. May no living creature ever suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, or their minds ever be depressed. If in those who encounter me a faithful or an angry thought arises, may that eternally become the source for fulfilling all their wishes. May all those who say bad things to me or cause me any other harm, and those who mock and insult me have the fortune to quickly awaken. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. May a rain of food and drink descend to clear away the pain of thirst and hunger, and during the eon of famine, may I myself change into food and drink. May I become an inexhaustible treasure for those who are poor and destitute. May I turn into all things they could need, and may these be placed close beside them. May I be a protector for those without one, a guide for all travelers on the way. May I be a bridge, a boat, and a ship for all who wish to cross the ocean. May I be an island for those who seek one, and a lamp for those desiring light. May I be a bed for all who wish to rest, and a servant for all who want a servant. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the varied realms of beings that reach into the ends of space. Just like space, the great elements such as the earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures for as long as space remains and for as long as sentient beings remain. Until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And may the war in Ukraine and all other places, wherever there's war, quickly be resolved peacefully through mediation. Wherever there's famine, may there be rains and bountiful crops. Wherever there's violence or abuse, may people stop doing that and treat other people with kindness and compassion. And especially the global climate destruction, may we stop polluting the environment and find resolutions to climate warming, global warming. And then bring to mind whatever other purposes you'd like to pray for. Yeah. And then also may there be religious and political freedom in Tibet. Remember, the source of all these teachings comes to us, to the Tibetan community, that's now oppressed by the communist Chinese government. So may there be freedom in Tibet, and may the Dharma flourish not only in the far into the future in the Tibetan community, but all other places in the world. And then for His Holiness Dalai Lama's long life, I can read these two verses. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, the incomparably kind, supreme Tenzin Gyatso. May you have a long life and all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Savior of the land of snow teachings and transmigratory beings, who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion. To the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. So thank you all. It's the last session. I'll send out some self-assessment questions in the next few days, hopefully. So thank you all for your participation. I enjoyed very much this module and all the other modules in this Discovering Buddhism. I'll be in Land of Medicine Buddha from September 23rd to October 23rd, leading some programs there. I'm not sure what yet, but and also, I was thinking while I was trying to meditate that Khandrila, I'm not sure what are the dates Khandrila is visiting a Land of Medicine Buddha. So it's an excellent opportunity to meet someone who has very realized. I've heard Lama Zopa Rinpoche mention on several occasions that she's a fully enlightened being, which Rinpoche doesn't say lightly or easily. So it's definitely a good opportunity to get over there and receive some teachings from her if you have the opportunity. You have the time.
Okay.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Okay, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.